fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Dillian Whyte, Moses Itauma. This is it. The keys of victory and the fight prediction. And here you go, guys. And before we get to the fight prediction or the keys of victory, we have to bring in the classic. Tale of the tape. That is correct. Dillian Whyte, 31 wins compared to the 12 wins of Moses Itauma. 3 losses for Dillian Whyte, no losses for Moses Itauma. 21 KOs from Dillian Whyte, the body snatcher. 10 KOs from Moses Itauma. 34 total bouts for Dillian Whyte compared to the 12 bouts for Moses Itauma. We got 62% knockout percentage for Dillian Whyte versus the 83% knockout percentage from Moses Itauma. 6'4" to 6'4", they're same height. 78-inch reach for Dillian Whyte versus the 79-inch reach for Moses Itauma. Okay, nationality Jamaican, British for Dillian Whyte. And for Moses Itauma, he is Chatham, Kent, United Kingdom. He is also British. Dillian Whyte is, of course, 36 years of age compared to the 21-year-old Moses Itauma. So, there is much to be said about this. So let's get to the keys of victory. If I'm Dillian Whyte, my first objective is to use my jab. You know, a left hook can take you places, but a jab can take you around the world. And I think that's what he needs to do. I think that's one of his best punches. Like I told his brother, Dean, Big Dean Whyte on the scene. Black Box Global in the building, okay? I told him that one of his underrated punches is the jab, all right? The jab. The jab is very solid. I think he needs to establish that to set up the right hand, or he could lead with the right hand, but I think is the danger with doing that because he's not the fastest fighter out there, okay? And he's definitely not the faster fighter in there. And I think he needs to watch that right hand. He needs to time it, and he can set it up with the jab to know where it's going to be. Now, keys of victory for Dillian Whyte, check that chin, okay? Because this is heavyweight boxing along with any weight class, but boxing on the heavyweight level, one punch could change everything. And one thing that Moses Itauma has admitted, Ben Davison has admitted, and everyone around Moses Itauma has admitted that his chin has not been checked yet. So check that chin. Try to get a solid right hand or that solid left hook, which he's known for. Get that to the chin somehow of Moses Itauma. Now, a lot of people would call that a puncher's chance, okay? Well, yes, it is a puncher's chance only if nothing else, only if everything else fails, all right? So I think Dillian Whyte has a good jab and he can set up certain shots. I think he definitely needs to be careful with Moses Itauma and in his explosiveness. Because if you look at Moses Itauma, he's not built like a bodybuilder. He's built like a boxer. You know what I mean? He is accustomed to throwing punches. He's young. He's hungry. He's injury-free. That's very important in fights like this. See, the overall success, I believe, of Moses Itauma is his youth. Of course, that explosive power. But he's not yet damaged, so he's not wincing in pain throwing some shots like us worn warriors that have been through some things has, okay? Not saying that Dillian Whyte is wounded, but what I'm saying is there are certain nicks and crannies and damage areas to your body that you can't do at one age versus an earlier. And Moses has that particular edge, right? Work the body if you can. I know working the body, you can be countered with a faster guy. But if I'm Dillian Whyte, I would try to go right at Moses Itauma, but watch for counters because this guy can counter and he can box going forwards and backwards. That's the scary thing. He can catch you with a check right hook going back. Okay. So like he did to Balogun, you know what I mean? You know, Balogun was out cold because he didn't think that Moses could punch going backwards, and oh well, he was mistaken. So that's what I would do for Dillian Whyte. Just use his overall experience, fill him out. I think that's a good thing to do. Be aware of what Moses does, because again, Moses is accustomed to first, second, third, fourth round knockouts. He hasn't been over 8 rounds. So if I'm Dillian Whyte, I would try the Vladimir Klitschko approach. I would try to drag him into deep waters, seeing what he has. I think what's important, if he can't catch that chin or connect to that chin right away, try his best to bring Moses Itauma in a space that he's never been in. Okay? Take him to later rounds. Let's see what he's about. Let's check his chin. And most importantly, let's check his stamina. Okay? He has to check his stamina, because we don't know what Moses can really do. You know, we know he's young. I think that he can do that, but it's not been proven. Okay, so it's up to Dillian Whyte to show Moses Itauma what it's like to be in with an experienced fighter. We're talking about all this blown out the water stuff, and I would recommend to Dillian Whyte, don't believe the hype, because everybody is thinking that he's going to get blown out in 2 or 3 rounds. I don't think that's going to happen. Now, it could, but I don't think it's going to. But if Dillian Whyte takes that to heart like he did with Ade Oladipo earlier, you know, he may go in there with a chip on his shoulder like Timothy Bradley was after winning the Manny Pacquiao fight, going in there against Ruslan Provodnikov thinking he had something to prove, and he may run into something just trying to show people he's too eager to get shit done, where he should have took his time like an experienced fighter's supposed to. So I think he needs to take his time, okay? But don't get it twisted. If the punch is available, don't hold back. Don't pull back. But I do suggest that Dillian Whyte, you know, use his experience. Don't be overzealous in there. So that's another keys of victory. Don't be overzealous. Use your experience and check that chin and work the body when you can, okay? That's my keys of victory for Dillian, the body snatcher Whyte. Now, for Moses Itauma, just be Moses Itauma. However, understand this is a step up. So I think that Moses will come in a little, I don't say tentative, but cautious. So, because I think he will be aware of what Dillian Whyte has in store, and I think he wants to be available to every particular situation. And because of that, he's going to be delayed in his attack. I don't see Moses going out there and just going balls to the wall. I don't see him doing that. And if he does do that and it does help and work, God help him. Why? Because it won't work with everyone. If he goes over there and runs just like Michael Grant did with Lennox Lewis, and that didn't work either, go over there and just try to duke it out with him and fight it out and then run out of gas, well, that's your ass. Bars. Okay, so I do think that he will take it. He will be more cautious. He's trained harder. Use his speed. Okay, speed should be a factor and definitely an attribute that he can use, especially when it comes to trading punches or punches for punches, shot for shot, you know, trading blows. You know, that could be, if his punch can land first, I think that could help him out a lot too. Okay. Second thing, use your uppercuts. We all know Dillian Whyte is a sucker for uppercuts. It's like turning off a light. Lights on, lights off. Grand opening, grand closing. Just land the uppercut. So that could definitely happen for Dillian. He could get caught with that uppercut, you know, the Povetkin fight, the Rivas fight, the Joshua fight, the Fury fight. You know, all of those fights were due to uppercuts. So yes, uppercut is Dillian Whyte's kryptonite. So yes, if I'm Moses Itauma, I would try to disguise it as his backhand lefts, and then come with the left uppercut. You know what I mean? So I think that would definitely help him if he was only trying to make a quick night's work of Dillian Whyte, which I honestly don't think he's going to do. I predict, people, that this fight, if anything, I think Moses is going to want some rounds from the experienced guy. It doesn't benefit him blowing Dillian Whyte out of the water, because he won't really learn anything. He will learn how to captivate his offense, which he already knows how to do. He's with an offensive trainer like Ben Davison, which is going to congratulate him for doing what he wants him to do, but he didn't learn anything in the process. I want Moses Itauma to learn, hey, if I do get hurt, what do I do? Do I hold? Do I take a knee? Do I take a walk around the park? What do I do when things happen that I'm not familiar with? That's what I want from Moses Itauma. That's what we should all want. That's called growth. And then you will learn from that. If he gets hit and caught and can't take the shot, people are going to immediately call him Chinny. That's just the way it is. They called Joshua Chinny. They called a lot of people Chinny. Okay, so I think if anything, this fight will go 8 or 9 rounds. Okay, and Dillian Whyte, he looks in great shape. He looks like he's ready to fight, and he has a better chance of winning against Moses Itauma in 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, or the distance, of course, than early for the first 6 rounds, because Moses is accustomed to that. That's his normal sway of how a boxing match goes. If it ain't the first round, it's the second. If it ain't the second, it's the third. And if it's the third you heard, it's the fourth. He's getting those guys out of there, and he ain't playing no reindeer games with them either. So let's take him out of that comfort zone, you know. And if you're Moses, you want to see if you can get out and fight comfortably in that out of controlled comfort zone that you've just experienced for the first time. So I like Dillian Whyte late. Okay. After 8, anything late after 8, I like Dillian Whyte, especially if he's able to catch Moses Itauma and give him something definitely to think about. I like Moses Itauma early because that's what he's accustomed to. He'll go in there and blast you in a minute, in a millisecond, with good uppercuts and power punches. The guy can hit. Dillian Whyte better be careful. Dillian Whyte is the older, worn, experienced fighter, but then we've seen him knock Spark out too. Okay, so that could happen in this fight, and I predict Moses to do that early. You know, would I recommend it? No, but I predict it, yes. I want him, of course, to go later so he can learn something. Dillian Whyte, I think Dillian Whyte should check that chin, because you don't know what's behind that chin. You don't. You don't know until you catch him. You know, hopefully Dillian Whyte is in shape and has the game plan to do it. Now, I will say this about Buddy McGirt. Buddy McGirt says that Dillian Whyte has done things that Moses has never seen, you know, but Moses has done things that Dillian has definitely seen. Well, I'll say this. He's not fought, Dillian Whyte, somebody that young, that strong, that hungry, you know, and that eager, okay, to take your face off. And I think Moses Itauma has every intention on doing that. So it's going to be a dangerous night. So prediction, people. Prediction, Dillian Whyte later, okay, by a stoppage, because he stopped the guy in an unknown land, in an unknown territory. Or Moses does what he's been doing because that's what he's accustomed to doing. Knockout early for Moses Itauma, late stoppage or distance for Dillian Whyte. You guys tell me what you think about this fight prediction and keys of victory concerning Dillian Whyte versus Moses Itauma. Of course, please subscribe. Grand opening tomorrow. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.